Take two. Hi, my name is Gwen. I'm currently a senior at the UNCSA School of Filmmaking. But before that, I was a homeschooler, and nearing the end of my educational journey has gotten me thinking about my homeschool days, specifically the college application process, which I don't miss. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some tips and unexpected experiences that me and my mom had when we were applying to school. This video is going to focus more on the logistical elements of the college application process and actually creating the documents that you will need for the college application. If you want advice on how to create a portfolio, I'm going to make a separate video covering common mistakes I see young artists make in their first portfolios and tips on content creation. So let's get into the video. Transcripts are going to be the first hurdle you are going to have to jump through. Public schoolers have their transcripts submitted for them by their guidance counselors, but as a homeschooler, you are going to have to create and submit your own transcripts. Now, if you are a parent and you haven't been keeping track of all the courses that your child has done in high school, don't worry, because that was the same boat that me and my mom were in. What we ended up doing was we spent about 2 weeks putting our heads together and listing all the courses I had taken in high school, and then we compiled them into a transcript. Additionally, my university requested a full list of every high school course I had taken along with course descriptions. This is an unusual request. I mention it because you will probably be asked to provide supplemental material with your application. We ended up using a website called fasttranscripts.com. They are a website that is catered towards homeschoolers. Their pricing is super affordable. As of this video, I believe the current base pricing is about $10, and they are super helpful. If you run into any problems, their customer service is great. And finally, they've started actually using Parchment to submit their transcripts, which is the same service that public schoolers use. Next up, a word about guidance counselors. As a homeschooler, your parent will act as your guidance counselor. What you need to know about this is that your parent is responsible for submitting your transcripts, and they might be asked to submit a letter of recommendation on your behalf. This is a great time for your parent to talk about your educational abilities and their educational philosophies, as well as any other special interests you may have developed during your homeschool years. I would just try to keep it to about 1 page, as admissions offices get flooded with these, so the shorter the better. Most of the colleges I applied to required prospective students to submit 2 letters of recommendation. As a homeschooler, you're going to have to get creative with where these letters come from, since you don't have a big arsenal of teachers to draw on. Some places I can recommend to look are, if you have attended any summer program, reach out to a teaching assistant or the head of that program and ask if they will write a letter for you. If you do any volunteer work with a volunteer organization, you can ask them. If you've been involved in any community productions, such as a theater or other public artwork, ask one of the leaders of that if they'll write you a letter. You kind of get the idea. Just don't be afraid to have your letters of recommendation coming from unusual places. This won't discourage colleges from considering you as an applicant. Community service is something that colleges look for on anybody's record, but I feel like it's even more important for homeschoolers. Especially in art school, colleges want to see that artists are committed to giving back to their community. Now, if you are a senior and you haven't done any community service yet, don't worry, because you still have time. The community service doesn't have to be anything big. It can be a fundraiser, it can be donating a few hours of your time. If you want to somehow incorporate art into the mix, even better. I would recommend finding something that you're already passionate about and doing community service in regards to that. That way, if you're asked to talk about it, you'll be able to do so. If you get called in for an interview, be prepared to answer a lot of questions about homeschooling. When I interviewed at my university, we didn't talk about art at all. we spent the entire time answering questions that my professors had about homeschooling. I know it can be concerning not talking about art, but these professors are just trying to get an understanding of how you will fit intellectually into their program. This is a good time to bring up any books that you read, as well as supplemental materials such as tests or papers that you wrote for your courses. They are interested in it and they want to geek out about education with you. Finally, I want to talk about other resources that you can call upon with your college application. Unfortunately, when it comes to admissions offices, little mistakes get made all the time, and this applies to both homeschoolers and public schoolers. When I applied to my current university, they ended up losing some of my important documents such as my ACT scores and almost revoked my interview. At a different university I applied for, I was assured that I had all the educational requirements that they needed, but when I tried to apply, the admissions office told me that I needed a GED and they wouldn't budge. I don't want this to scare you into thinking that something bad is going to happen to your application. Most likely it won't, but in the event that it does, just remember that you can call upon resources other than the admissions office to answer questions for you. You can reach out to professors about admissions, but also about any other questions you may have, simply about the courses at the college or even campus life. Professors love to hear from incoming students, and they'll be happy to answer any questions. Another person you can reach out to is the academic programs manager of your school. When I applied to my current university, I reached out to the academic programs manager and she got my lost ACT scores straightened out right away. The title may vary depending on what university you're looking into. The important thing is that most colleges will have these emails listed on their website, so you can find them there. So that covers a few tips and tricks that I picked up during my college application process as a homeschooler. I think the important thing to remember is just to take a deep breath. College applications are stressful no matter who you are, and especially as a homeschooler, there's this added burden of figuring it all out on your own. Just remind yourself that it will be over, you will get through it, and your kid will get into a college. Now, obviously, I can't answer every single question and I can't know every single college application process. So if you do run into any questions that I didn't cover, feel free to leave a comment. I would love to hear what you guys are going through and try to answer as many questions as I can. So I hope that was helpful. If you want advice on portfolio stuff, you can check out my other video, and good luck applying to colleges.